countries should be quite interesting and hopefully educational as well. Please welcome Dave.
How are you all? Good? Thank you for listening to me on Sunday. I always think that's strange. I need everybody to come up the front. Can you all come up the front here? No, I meant this front. Yeah, now you're standing up. No, you two. Come on, up the front row. Come on. No. This front. This front. There you go. Keep going. No. This front. Look, there's two of you. Look, there's two seats right there. No. Just there.
It's too far away.
No, it's very good. See, if you sit right up the front, it means I can make you do things. That's good. Okay. So, I'm Dave, Kun Dave. Everybody calls me that because nobody can say my family name. As Randall said, I talk about strange things in lots of countries, lots of places, about marketing. And mostly what I do is I talk about the way in which people think and act and how that affects marketing. So sometimes I do things in my underpants, and you can see that I started doing this a long time ago when I was very young, and now I'm very old. So maybe I've learned a little bit. If you want to use your phone, it's fine. I don't care if people use their phone while I'm talking. Please play with your phone. But when you use your phone, Google me and look at the pictures. How many people brush their teeth today? Who brushed their teeth today? Okay, so who did not brush their teeth today? No? Okay, so I need 3 volunteers. 3 volunteers. Can't be Randall. Come on, one of you guys has got to come up. This guy knows me, so he's a volunteer. I need one of you. Come on, somebody's going to volunteer. Very good. And I need one of these ladies. Yeah, come on. Okay. Good. This is what we're going to do. You all get to brush your teeth again. Yeah, you all get to... See, here's a toothbrush. Take it out of the pack. There you go. And I've got 3 of the most famous toothpaste brands in Thailand. So I've got Colgate, Dali, and Salts. So which one do you want?
This one. You usually use this one.
Do you normally use that one?
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want?
I'm going to use this one.
Okay, well you get stuck with Salts, whether you like it or not. All right? So please open it up. Yeah, it's the same. You've got to take the brush out of the packet because you've got to actually brush your teeth.
Without water?
Oh, we get you some water. Here. There you go. Okay, give me a rubbish.
Oh.
There, give me a rubbish. There you go. Okay. Now, we're going to need you to... We need something to spit in, actually, don't we?
Just 1 cup for the water?
Yeah, 1 cup of the water. Okay. So do you need a little bit of water first? Okay, so Randall's going to give you a little bit of water in a minute. And then we're going to get you to start brushing your teeth. And while you're brushing your teeth, I'm going to tell you all some stories. Okay? You're not allowed to... Once you start, you can't stop until I tell you to stop. Okay? Just hold on a sec. This is a little bit of organisation here. We're nearly there. Okay, ready? Good? Set? Let me just check my watch. Okay, go. How long are you supposed to brush your teeth for? 3 minutes. The International Dentists Association says that when you brush your teeth, you should brush your teeth for 3 minutes. How many times are you supposed to brush your teeth every day? Usually twice, right? But every country is different. So, for example, in Japan, the average is 3.3. Every Japanese person brushes their teeth 3.3 times a day. Every day. I used to have, keep going, you're not allowed to stop. I used to have somebody who worked with me who used to brush his teeth 6 times every day. 6 times. Bit nuts, right? Now, you're supposed to brush your teeth, okay, and you do it for 3 minutes. So in Japan, it's the most common. All right, Americans are a bit lazy. Generally, Americans do it. Everybody thinks Americans have great teeth and they must brush their teeth a lot. They actually only brush their teeth on average 1.3 times a day. Okay? I'm not too sure. I couldn't find the Thailand statistic. But I think Thailand is probably similar to people in similar countries, and that means you're probably brushing your teeth about 1.5 times a day. So most people don't do it twice, right? Now, when you brush your teeth, why do you use toothpaste? Keep going. They're going to brush their teeth for the full 3 minutes and they're only halfway there. Why do you use toothpaste? Somebody tell me, why do you use toothpaste?
To make it clean.
To make what?
To make the teeth clean.
Okay, people say that, right? The number one answer, whenever you do a survey and you say, why do you use toothpaste? People will say, to make my teeth cleaner. Now, here's the truth. Academic dentists, dentists and professors of dentistry, half of them, 50% of all the academic dentists in the world, believe that you would have cleaner teeth if you did not use toothpaste. Why? It's not that toothpaste is bad for you. Toothpaste is actually good for cleaning. But what's the problem? Why do they say that most people would be better off not using toothpaste? Because you're supposed to brush your teeth for 3 minutes. Most people brush their teeth for about 1.2 minutes. And why is that? Because it doesn't matter whether it's Darlie, Colgate, Sols or any other toothpaste, all modern toothpastes have what? Flavour. They have strong flavours. And so what happens is as soon as you put that toothbrush into your mouth and you start brushing, your mouth feels the flavour, and the flavours are what we think of as clean flavours. And so what happens is people mentally go, my mouth feels clean because of the toothpaste, therefore I don't need to, I must have brushed my teeth enough. So most people don't brush their teeth properly because they use toothpaste. It makes you lazy. It's not toothpaste is bad for you. Actually, it helps. But most people don't use it correctly. Okay, we're coming up to, you've got 10 more seconds. Keep going. Just like a countdown. We'll do, ready? You ready? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, you can stop. Okay? Now, I want you to all to think about, were you watching them? It was funny watching people brush their teeth, right? Actually, about 10 days ago, I was in Bangladesh, and I had a room of 40 people, and I made them all brush their teeth, so you're all lucky, right? But the thing was that one lady refused to do it. She would not do it. Everybody else sort of, yeah, okay. And then they stood up and they started brushing. One lady just would not do it. And eventually she said, I'll only do it if I can stand like this the whole time and cover up, because she was embarrassed about brushing her teeth in front of other people. That's pretty strange, right? But think about it. Did you guys feel a little bit strange brushing your teeth in front of other people? Yeah, of course you did, right? Because it's not normal. It's not a normal activity. I mean, you don't go at work, you don't stand up at your desk and start brushing your teeth. You don't stand, sitting there like early morning lecture. Oh, well, I'll just brush my teeth while I'm listening to the professor. You don't do that, right? It's sort of something we think of as private. It's private. But why? What you're actually doing when you're brushing your teeth is saying, what are you saying to the world? I'm a very clean person. I take care of myself. I take pride in myself. I'm very hygienic. All good things, but we think it's something you hide. You don't do it publicly. Is that rational? Is that rational? No. Because there's nothing we do in life that's truly rational. Nothing. We are totally driven by emotion, never by rationality. Let me give you the example. You use Dali all the time, right? Did you spit out into the cup? Do you want to spit out into the cup? You can turn around and do it if you want. See? That's irrational too. Why do you need to do that, right? Just think about it. Just think about it. It's not that long ago. So, Randy, you came here about 25 years ago? So I'm imagining when you first lived in Bangkok as a Westerner like me, when I first lived here about 25 years ago, or 24, whatever. When I first came here, I was sort of still shocked because there was an awful lot of people that spat on the street, right? Either spit or they spat beetle juice, right? Beetle nut juice, especially in the north, right? But now you barely ever see that in central Bangkok. Why is that? It's not popular, right? It's not rational or irrational, it's just not popular. There's no rational reason why you can't spit on the street. It could be, nobody's proven it's actually medically good or bad for you. But why do people do stuff? They do it because society says it's not good, okay? Because that's an emotional reaction, culture. So, why do you use Dali?
Because my dad used this one.
Because your dad uses that
Yes,
one.
yes.
So when you were a little kid,
Yes.
did he buy Dali?
Yes, in my home, my dad always used this one, so
Yeah.
I was.
You sort of copied him because he was doing it.
But there is a funny thing. One of my friend is American. He said this kind of toothbrush, it's really discrimination.
Okay. You all know the Dali toothpaste, right? Okay, what was the old name for Dali toothpaste? Darkie toothpaste, right? So let me tell you a little interesting story why it's called Darkie toothpaste. Do you all know what the pack looks like? Yeah, I'll pass the box around. Dali toothpaste started in Hong Kong in the 1920s. A Hong Kong Chinese chemist shop owner, pharmacist, drugstore owner, saw that the English that were running Hong Kong and the Americans that were working there were starting to import toothpaste. Before the 1920s, nobody in the world used toothpaste. It was invented in the 1920s in Germany and in America around the same time. Before that, what did people put on their toothbrush? Before there was toothpaste? Huh? They used to use, different countries, they'd either use sometimes salt, sometimes charcoal in some places. A lot of places they were using bicarbonate soda. Now what in Germany and the US they did was, somebody figured out, it was very messy, right? Imagine getting a toothbrush and it's like getting a can of talcum powder and sprinkling that on your toothbrush and then in your mouth, like this powder going everywhere, it's messy, right? So somebody figured out we can take the bicarbonate soda and make it sticky, so it's like a paste, put it in a tube and that makes it less messy. So this guy in China is seeing all the foreigners, or the Farang, right, bringing in this toothpaste stuff and using it. And he's going, in Hong Kong, the upper class Chinese, we think it's cool to copy Americans or the English. This is the 1920s. Nearly 100 years ago. Oh, it's very cool to copy them. So they will probably start using toothpaste. So why don't I make toothpaste for the Chinese in Hong Kong? So he created a brand called Darkie, okay? And he put this face on it, okay? Now the face looks a bit like it's a black man, right? But did you know whose face it really is? Do you know whose face it really was? Okay, who was the most famous movie star in the world in the late 1920s? Nope. The most famous movie star in the world happened to be the star of the first movie where there was sound. He was a singer. And he sang songs. This guy named Al Jolson. He was the biggest star in the world because he was the star of the very first movie where there was actually sound. And it was a musical. And he sang songs in it. But he was a white guy from New York who always wore black makeup on his face to make him look like a black American Negro. It was a trend then to call them black and white minstrel singers. And this guy in Hong Kong figured out that Chinese people thought that black people had the best smiles. And here's this guy on this movie, he's a white guy, but even he pretends to be black, and when he does, he gets a great smile. So I'm going to put his picture on my pack, and I'm going to call it Darky, because dark people have the best smiles. That's called a great insight. Yes, today in America, people, if you launched Darky toothpaste, they'd say it's racist, it's a terrible thing. So what happened was, 25 years ago, Colgate bought Darky toothpaste. And they said to the guys that owned it, the grandson of the guy who started the company, they said, we're going to buy the majority of your company, but you have to change the name. You can't call it Darky. So he said, okay, we'll call it Darlie in English. But in Chinese, it's still the same name, black-faced toothpaste. They never changed it. And guess what? This is the biggest selling brand of toothpaste in all of Asia. The #1 brand. Okay? The main reason historically we use a toothpaste is because our parents taught us. Our mother or our father used this toothpaste or a different toothpaste. But here's an interesting thing. This one is Colgate. Colgate is a toothpaste that comes from America. It's one of the oldest global toothpaste brands. It's #1, 2 or 3 in nearly every country in the world. Okay, so why do people all over the world use Colgate toothpaste? It's suggested by dentists, yes, but what's the real reason they use Colgate? It's a family brand, yeah. Familiar. It's been around forever, and it's from America. So yes, now you're familiar with it in 2017. But you've got to remember, when this first came to Thailand, it was popular because it was American. So if it was American, what does that mean? Perception of quality. Does America make the best quality stuff? Randall? He's the unbiased sample. Does America make the best quality stuff? No, they make crap. The perception is that if it's American, it's from America. Wow. Now, in the 1950s or the 1960s or the 1970s, when a lot of brands like this started to come to Thailand, your parents or your grandparents started to buy them because it was American. So therefore, it must be better. I don't know the difference. Do you know how to make toothpaste? If you look at the back of the pack, can you understand the formula? I can't. I've been working on advertising for toothpaste for 30 years and I still don't understand the formula. But people buy the perception. But then there's this brand. Sols. How do you say it here? Sols, right? What's interesting about this brand? Yeah, it uses a salt base. That's true. What else is interesting about this brand? Yeah, what else? This is the only country in the world where a salt-based toothpaste is in the top 3. It's the only country in the world. Why is it that Thailand likes this flavour? Because it comes from a tradition of using a salt base, right? And what's happened is this brand had to launch a salt variant. This brand tried launching a salt variant, but it wasn't successful. Why? Because this sort of sounds in the way it's got a foreign name, a Western name, but you sort of know it's not Western. But this one's Colgate. That's American. Doesn't quite make sense. Colgate has the same taste everywhere. It's like McDonald's, right? You guys can sit down now. Yeah. You can keep the toothbrush if you want. You know. No toilet. Come on. So, what I want to talk to you about is the fact that when you think about purchasing toothpaste or toothbrushes, purchasing anything, when you leave here and you work in a company and it's making and you're marketing or advertising anything, just remember what goes into the people making a decision to do it. Okay? We don't do things because it's scientifically true. We do things because of perception, culture, history, beliefs. Oh. I can't ever get this thing to... Oh, there you go. Think about toothbrushes. Did you know that the toothbrush is one of the most important technologies invented in the last 1,000 years? In a survey done in 1999, 1,000 scientists all over the world, all kinds of scientists, were asked to put down what they thought was the most important invention of the last 1,000 years. And toothbrushes came in the top 10. What was the number one answer? The number one most important invention of the last 1,000 years? No, God no. Actually, mobile didn't even make the top 10. Antibiotics made the top 10. Number one answer was knitting needles. Knitting needles, which were invented in Northern Europe sometime around 1,000 years ago, and it's estimated that they saved the lives of half the population of Europe. Because with knitting needles, people could simply use wool to make better clothing, to keep them warm in winter so they didn't die of the flu every winter. And they say that more people were saved lives, or lives were saved through knitting needles than any other technology, actually except one. There's one technology that saved more lives than any other, and I'm going to come to that later on. It saves people's lives. Why does it save people's lives? How does a toothbrush save your life? Okay, using toothbrushes as we know it, right, started a bit over 100 years ago. First in Europe and America and then spread around the world. People had been cleaning their teeth with different ways before that, but using a modern type toothbrush is a bit over 100 years old. And the main thing that a toothbrush does is not the cleaning of the teeth. What's the main thing a toothbrush does? Massages your gums. As you're brushing your teeth, you're massaging your gums. And as you massage your gums, it's like if you do exercise with any other muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it stays, right? So here's the thing. 100 years ago, anywhere in the world, what was life expectancy? Come on, Randall, you've done aging studies.
100 years ago.
All right, in the year 1900, life expectancy, no, 43. 43 was how old people lived to in 1900. It was very rare to live past the mid-40s. Okay? Anywhere, by the way, that was in the developed world. In other countries, less, okay? But toothbrushes are very important because starting in your late 40s, especially if you live to be in your 50s, what happens is if you haven't been using exercising your gums your whole life, your gums get weak. What happens if your gums get weak? What happens if what happens if the muscles on your arms get weak? Or what happens if the gums get weak? Your teeth fall out. Not because they're bad teeth. The teeth could be perfect, but they'll fall out anyway. And so people in their 40s died, literally, because their teeth fell out and they couldn't eat food properly. Brushing your teeth keeps you alive longer. Literally, keeps you alive. So do it for 3 minutes, twice a day. What matters to you? Toothbrush? Ask people why. The number one thing that I learned in all my years of doing market research with people and trying to understand their behaviour and why they bought things was to ask why. But the person that really taught me about market research, a very famous researcher in Australia many years ago, had a very basic rule. He said, you never ask why. Once. If I ask you, why do you brush teeth? Why do you brush your teeth? What's the answer? To keep my teeth clean. Or because my mum told me. That's the number 1 and 2 answers, right? But then you ask it again. But why does it keep your teeth clean? Why do you brush your teeth? And then you do it again. Why do you brush your teeth? Keep on going, see? Why do you brush your teeth?
Keep my mouth fresh.
No, your answer. But if I keep on asking you, right? Number 2 answer was tooth decay, right? Now, it's third, why? Why do you brush your teeth? Why do you care about tooth decay?
Because if I have a certificate, it's a personal one.
Oh, why? Why do you care about that? The point is this: you follow the stream, and you ask everybody 5 times. You never ask a question once. You ask the same person the same question. When they've given the answer, you ask them, why do you think that? Why do you think? And that's the only time you ever get to the real reason. You never do doing a normal survey where you ask 50 questions is usually useless. You have to ask the same question 5 times to get to the real answer. There are lots of different toothpastes you can buy. Why do people pick one over another? It's because my mother told me to use it. It's because I got used to the flavour. But why, for example, do we have the flavours? It doesn't matter if it's Salts or Colgate or Darlie. There's a very limited range of toothpaste. Like, anybody in here like chocolate? Anybody eat chocolate? Yeah? Have you ever tried chocolate flavoured toothpaste? Lots of companies, including Colgate, have launched chocolate flavour, never worked. Anybody here drink coffee? Lots of people drink a lot of coffee. You ever tried coffee toothpaste? I can guarantee you every single year for the last 50 years, somewhere in the world, some company launches a coffee flavoured toothpaste. Because it's logical in one way, right? First thing you do in the morning, you wake up, you brush your teeth. The first thing you drink in the morning is a cup of coffee. Let's combine the two. Actually, that's perfect. You think that would be perfectly logical, right? So I'm going to have toothpaste that's got coffee in it and caffeine in it, so you brush your teeth and wake up at the same time. And your mouth tastes like an espresso. And it fails every time. It's perfectly rational. It fails because but the toothpaste is supposed to clean my mouth. The coffee is a different thing. I like the taste, but it doesn't clean There are certain flavours we believe represent cleanliness. Mint, salts, etc. That's why charcoal gums, toothpaste, yes, for hundreds of years, thousands of years in different countries, people brushed their teeth with charcoal. They just stuck their finger in and did this with charcoal, right? And yes, charcoal-based toothpastes have become popular again in the last few years, but they don't taste like charcoal, do they? No. You buy Darlie charcoal, which was the original charcoal toothpaste on the market, then Colgate charcoal and all the other they taste like mint, right? So, think about, this is another brand. This is a very, I forgot to bring one back. This is a very famous brand in Japan. Have you ever heard of this? Gum? It's a good name for a toothpaste, right? Gum. It's pretty obvious. Like, the guy that invented that was a genius, right? Yeah, well, he was. Because this guy made a toothpaste, which is the number 2 toothpaste in Japan, gum toothpaste, And what's special about that toothpaste is it has a special ingredient, because he found out about 40 years ago or more that the part of your body that absorbs things fastest is your gums. The part of your body that absorbs vitamins, absorbs goodness, nutrition fastest is your gums. So what he discovered was, if I put other things in the toothpaste, it will get absorbed through your gums and go all the way through your body very fast. So his toothpaste, Gum, has special ingredients that are made to stop your gums from shrinking around, from getting loose around your teeth, from getting what they call periodontal disease, the disease of the gums. But now he's been paying MIT for 30 years to do research that they can now prove that by using his toothpaste, you reduce diabetes, you reduce stomach cancer, and liver diseases by using that toothpaste, because the ingredients get absorbed through your gums and go all the way through your body. Hopefully. Let me show you what I'll come back to that one in a minute. Let me show you this. Oh, where's the sound gone? Sorry. Can you try again? Sound. Oh, it's switched off. No? It worked before. Let me try this one. No? Just hold it there. Hold it there. Okay, so you thought you were coming to a marketing lecture. Now you're having a lecture about toothpaste, right? But this is all because I wanted you to think about something, which is the reason why we do things. Oh, that's it. Okay, let's click that one and try that. No? No? It worked before.
It's worked before.
Yeah. Where's the thing gone?
Check the volume on the computer.
No, the volume's fine.
The one is okay. Fine.
Yeah, the volume's fine. Okay. Okay. No ads. So, you can see this is really scary, right? So that whole commercial was all about, you brush your teeth with this stuff, all this stuff goes through your system and destroys the bacteria in all sorts of places in your body. It was so scary that it got banned in Japan. The government banned the commercial because they said it was too scary for people to know that all this stuff was happening inside your body. That's pretty weird, right? Let's move on. This is the star. We can just watch this. It's in Japanese anyway, so unless you speak Japanese, it doesn't matter. Okay, this is for a different brand of toothpaste called Aura 2. Aura 2 is also popular in Japan, but it's only popular for ladies like this. Okay, for the young ladies. Men never buy it. Okay? Never. Just watch this. It's like it's super cute. It's sort of musical background. They sing a little song while they're brushing their teeth. It's got a little bit of this sort of stuff in it. And they do a little dance. Looks sort of, right? The whole reason for that is because this is a toothpaste about being cute. The guy that owns this company is a genius. He found out that let me ask you a question. So this lady, you look like you take very good care of yourself, you use makeup, right? So if I opened your bag now, how many different products for cosmetics and skincare, how many things do you have in your bag?
Right now?
Yeah. Just guess, you know.
Maybe like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay, how old are you?
This year, 27.
27, good. The average 28-year-old Japanese woman carries 17 beauty products everywhere she goes. 17. By the way, how many beauty products are you carrying with you, buddy? How many beauty products do you have on you? None, right? You can tell. It looks like it. None. He doesn't need beauty products. But the average 28-year-old Japanese man carries at least 5 beauty products everywhere he goes. Okay? So this guy makes toothpaste and he figures out if a lady like you carries 17 beauty products in your bag everywhere you go, maybe you should carry some oral beauty products so that when you smile, it'll be even more beautiful. So for example, this toothpaste, the main toothpaste from Aura 2, what does it do? Brushes your teeth, has a minty flavour, but the number one thing it has an ingredient that makes your gums pinker, more pink. So when you smile, it's whiter teeth and pinker gums to be more beautiful when you smile. And he sells so many different products that are aimed, they're beauty products just for the inside of your mouth. Toothpaste, like everything else, is based on culture, history, and human desire. Every single thing you buy is based on those things. Some combination of history, culture, and desire. For example, every single person in this room is dressed differently. Now, I know probably a few months ago, with great respect to the King, if I was doing this speech, most of you would be wearing all black. Today, you're the only well, sort of all black, except for the bits on your sleeve, right? But why do people normally, why do you all dress differently? Because you're not rational, right? By the way, if you were rational human beings, if you were rational, what clothes should you be wearing right now? If we were rational, what clothing should you be wearing right now? No, you should be wearing nothing. This is Bangkok, right? You should not be wearing clothes. That's not rational. The wearing of clothes itself, for most of mankind's history, has been based on irrational behaviour. It's called embarrassment. The main reason we started wearing clothes was why? Because of some sort of religious reason to cover up the naughty bits. Now we dress differently like this because of a different religion. What's the religion that controls our life today? The number one religion in the world today? No. Capitalism doesn't work in most places, but this does. Come on, why does it work this gentleman's from Nepal. So why does it work in Kathmandu the same as Bangkok? Number one religion in the world. And you're all members of this religion. I can tell just looking at you. Fashion. Fashion is the number one religion. Can you stand up for a sec? Sure. Randall, where do you come from?
Wichita, Kansas, USA.
Wichita, Kansas, USA. This is why he's dressed like a cowboy.
Somebody told me this morning. And I said, no.
No, but...
I don't want to be like a cowboy. I said that's why it's true religion, which is a whole different level
right.
of fashion.
It's fashion. Okay. So this is the truth, right? We never do things based on rational consumption. We do it based on emotion. Let me ask you a question. You've probably all heard the word consumer, right? Okay, I hope so, by this stage in your education. What's the definition of the word consumer? Let me ask you this, who is a consumer? Is anybody in this room a consumer? Of what? I'll give you an example. Anybody in this room like Coca-Cola? These two guys, especially this guy, he knows I like Coke, right? I'm famous in my old company for drinking Coke. I drink at least 4 cans of Coca-Cola every single day. I've been doing that for 45 years. At least 4 cans of Coke every day. Never Diet Coke, never Coke Zero, just real Coke. That's why I've got... But I've been drinking 4 every day. I'm not doing too bad, right? I should be out here. But here's the thing. Am I a Coke consumer? No. There is no Coke in this room. I cannot be a Coke consumer if I'm not actually consuming. The word consumer means somebody in the act of consumption. Somebody who is actually using that thing then. I have been a Coke consumer twice today because I've drunk 2 cans of Coke. I will be a Coke consumer at least twice more today when I'm drinking Coke. But at the moment, I'm not a Coke consumer. If you like coffee, do you like coffee? No? Who goes to Starbucks? Yeah? Are you Starbucks consumers? Sometimes. You are not a Starbucks consumer now. You might be when you get out of here because you're going to say, I need a coffee to keep me awake because that guy was really boring. But you're not now. What are you a consumer of right now? Huh? Well, first of all, you're a consumer of me. Bad luck, okay? So when we use the term my consumers, and you always hear marketers, business people saying my consumers. Well, actually, you're my consumers right now. You weren't an hour ago, and you won't be an hour from now. And you probably never will be again. Okay? I got taught this lesson by this kid. A long time ago here in Bangkok, we were doing street research. And we had everybody in the office going out asking people on the street a little survey. And one of the ladies that used to work for me then, do you remember Convenus? Yeah, so it was Convenus, right? So she was doing she was one of the people doing this street research. And on Khao San Road, she approached this young guy. Now, this is a long time ago, and Convenus was a lot younger, and she was pretty good looking, and she was pretty cute. She still is, right? But, this was 20 years ago, nearly. So she walks up to this young guy, and she's a pretty cute girl, and she says, could I talk to you for 10 minutes? So naturally he says, well, yes, right? Like every guy in the world would have said, well, sure, yeah, yeah. And she said, I'm going to ask you some questions for a little survey. Okay, my first question is, as a consumer, and before she could finish the sentence, he said something like, I'm a person, not a consumer. He was a 17-year-old kid on the streets of Bangkok who just said to her, no, I'm not a consumer, I'm a person. Why don't people like you think more about me as a person in my life than somebody who just uses your product? That's the most valuable lesson in marketing I ever learnt. She told me this story the next day, she showed me his photo, and I went, that kid is the greatest professor of marketing I've ever met. Because our job as marketers is to do what? The number one job of a marketer is to do what? It's to find out what people want, what they want in life, and figure out how our product can help them do it. Our job is not to sell them the product. Our job is not to make sure they understand mine's a better product. Our job is to find out what you want in life and how my product can make you better at it. I want to be popular. I want to be successful. I want to be cool. I want to be serious. I want to be academic. I want to be mechanical. I want to be a lover. I want to be a talker. I want to be famous. What do you want to be in life? I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good father. Hey, I want to be a great gambler. It doesn't matter. You've got to find out what people want and then figure out how your product can help them. That's what marketing is. And that's what this kid reminded me of. Reaching people is done by reaching emotions. You don't reach people by functionality. Think about any successful brand, and you're going to realise that the brand was built on an emotion. It was never built on a function. I Google stuff all the time, but I'm lazy and I don't read the articles, so I only look at the pictures on Google. So when I Googled Thai consumers, this comes up. It's a bunch of people shopping, one lady on the phone, maybe she's shopping there. Very strange. This guy, did you ever meet this guy? This guy used to be the head of planning at JWT, Ian White, right? He was a very famous guy in the advertising industry here in Thailand for many years. He's a friend of mine. I was really shocked, like, he's not a Thai consumer. He's not even Thai. He doesn't even live here anymore. He lives in Melbourne. But, you know, somehow he'll be very happy that he's on the front page of Google, I'm sure. Then I looked up Thai people. Look at the difference. This is Thai consumers. Mostly it looks to me like trendy, new middle-class people out shopping. And this is Thai people. All sorts of people from all over the country. Yeah, it's got some stuff that looks like a tourist photo, but it's all sorts of people in all sorts of locations. Now this is going to be true anywhere you go. If you think all across Asia, all right, people are very different across Asia, correct? Lots of differences. You're not like Japanese, you're not like Indians. You could tell us all the difference between Nepal and Thailand, right? Must be some differences, yeah? This is really hot, Nepal, pretty cold in winter, right? In my old job, for many, many years, I used to get phone calls. I'd get a phone call and it'd be like this. It'd be the chairman of my company, McCann, from New York, ringing me up. Dave, this is John. Oh God, it's the chairman of the company. Yes, what do you want? What are you doing on Thursday? Well, this is Tuesday now. What am I doing Thursday? I've got some meetings. No, you've got to cancel those. Where are you? Well, I'm in Tokyo. No, you've got to be in Shanghai on Thursday. Why? Well, because one of our biggest clients has got a new managing director for all of Asia. He's going to be in Shanghai, his first day, and we've got you 20 minutes on the first day he's on the job, and you have to tell him all about Asia in 20 minutes. What would you say if you got your job and you had to go talk to a very, very senior executive of a very famous company and you had 20 minutes to explain Asia? This is what I used to do. I used to walk in with a bowl of plain rice. And I'd say, welcome to Asia. This is about the only thing people have in common. Everybody in Asia eats rice, but they all do it differently. How they eat it, the styles of eating, whether they eat it with their hands, with chopsticks, with spoons. Do they cook it in different ways? What do they eat it with? When do they eat it? Even rice, the most common thing in Asia, is totally different in every country. What is the same is this. Change is constant. Engagement with things is changing all the time. How we engage with things, as in the media we use, the messaging we use, who we connect with, how we're connected with other things. Digital is changing everything. And most importantly, culture is the basis of everything. That in every country, and within every country, and across country, there are thousands and thousands of different cultures. And you have to find out the right culture for the people you're trying to reach. Now, by culture, we can mean Japanese culture versus Thai culture versus Nepali culture, American culture, German culture. If I said to you, what's the one word that represents Japanese culture? Discipline? I say perfectionism is the one word for Japan. What's the one word for American culture? Freedom. Okay. See, I think it's loud. It's a loud culture. Everybody shouts everything. From the way they talk, everybody talks loud. They dress loud. They want to stand out. They're just like Mr. Trump. No. What's Thai culture? One word for Thai culture. What? No, in English, please. That's cheating, you know.
Kind of in the middle of everything.
Huh?
In the middle of...
No, it's not in the middle of everything. Come on. Harmony, right? People here, you know, Mai Peng Rai, right? This is a very laid-back culture. It's a very harmonious. It's okay, all right? But that's country cultures. But then there are things like religious culture, right? So you can say, well, I'm Buddhist. But Buddhism here in Bangkok or in Thailand is very different from Buddhism in Japan, where I lived for a long time. I'm sure it's different in Nepal as well, right? Okay, but then there are other cultures. What other kind of cultures are there? Give me some other cultures. What type of culture are there? Well, let's organise that. Oh, that's very formal, thank you. Yes? This is a very serious... He always gives the most serious answer. Yeah? Okay, and he sits at attention the whole time. This is good, right? What else? What different types of culture? Come on, I mentioned one before. No, well, I mentioned one before, right? I said that everybody in the world basically shares the same religion, which is a culture, which is fashion. But you all know that there are many subcultures of fashion, right? So there's the serious guy, right, in the jeans, a white top and stuff like that. And then there's the hang loose guy here in a t-shirt and shorts, right? Okay, and there's different types of fashions. Okay, but there are many, many different, but you've got to understand the culture of what people are thinking about. Because culture is how we fit in. And the number one thing that drives people is socialisation, the desire to fit in. That's why Facebook is so popular, why Line is so popular, why all those digital social mediums are so popular. The thing that drives those is the desire to fit in, to be like other people, for other people to like you, to other people to know who you are. This is another lady we discovered in some research here in Thailand. Now, I did the same research in other countries in Asia and got basically the same answers, which is quite interesting. But it's an interesting project. In this particular project, we interviewed 100 women who were mothers of families living in Bangkok. But they were all women who had moved to Bangkok 5 to 10 years before. Okay, so they'd been living in small towns or villages and then they moved to Bangkok 5 to 10 years ago. We gave them all a little camera. Had 25, 26, I can't remember, photos you could take with the camera. And there was a simple project. We gave it to them at night, late in the afternoon, and we said, go home, and I want you to take photos of the things you would miss most if everything about your home disappeared tonight. And then we picked up the photos, the cameras the next day, 100 people, 25 photos each, and we went into a room like this and spread out all the photos all over the walls and looked at the results. Now, here's what was interesting. Every single one of these mothers took a photo of their children. None took a photo of their husband. Not one. Not one. I did it in Bangkok, Manila, Kuala Lumpur, Guangzhou, Chengdu, a couple other places in China. Then I ended up doing it in Mumbai and in Bangalore in India. Every time I did the same exercise, not one single woman ever took a picture of her husband. Now, this lady, Kun Pim, because afterwards we went back and interviewed some of them on what we found out, right? This lady said, well, you said to take photos of the things I would miss most about my home if my home and everything disappeared tomorrow. My husband's not part of my home. My husband is part of the house. In most languages, there's a very big difference between home and house. A house is the physical structure. What she was saying was, my husband is responsible for getting us, in their case it wasn't a house, it was an apartment, but the husband is responsible for getting us the house. The home is the things that make it good. That's my children, not my husband. I tried this on my wife, and she did the same thing. I didn't get in the photo. And my wife's Italian, so it goes all around the world, right? But the thing was interesting. When we put it up there, forget family members, forget people. Nearly all of these women owned a TV set. Most of them had a refrigerator. Some had PCs. Most had a mobile phone of some type. Some of them took photos of their favourite chair, a couch, their children's favourite toy, all sorts of things. But there was one thing that if they had it, every single one took a photo of it, and it was the most important technology in their home. They said it was the most important technology in their home. What would that be? And I'll give you a little clue. It's also the technology that has saved more people's lives than any other technology in the history of mankind. Not the refrigerator. Not the TV. It's the technology that defines living in a modern home. Not air conditioning. That's called luxury, okay? Huh? No, not a bed. Huh? A wok. Having a toilet defines being a modern home. It's the most important technology in saving people's lives. A couple of little facts, right? Did everybody grow up here in a house or apartment that had a toilet? Did anybody ever live in a house that did not have a toilet? Okay, when I was little I did. Till I was 8 years old, we lived in a house that didn't have a toilet. It had one that was about 50 metres down the garden. If you have never lived in a house with a toilet and you move into a house with a toilet with your family, everybody in that family will live at least 5 years longer. Actually living with a toilet in the house makes your family live longer. Here's an interesting thing for all the ladies in the room. If you move into a house, if you've never lived in a house with a toilet, and you move into a house with a toilet, every woman in that family, the chances of you being raped in your life is reduced by 90%. Because 90% of all the rapes in the world happen after dark when women have to leave their home and go to a field to go to the toilet. This technology changes people's lives like nothing else. Air conditioning is nice, but doesn't really change your life. Having a bed is nice, but you know what? I spent 20 years of my life sleeping on the floor on purpose because it was better for my back, okay? But having a toilet truly changes your life. And this is the way that lady Kun Pim explained it. She said, yes, I have a refrigerator and a television, that's great. Many of my relatives up country don't have all of these things, but many of my cousins in my old little village do have refrigerators and televisions in their shacks, in their village houses. They steal the electricity from the power lines, but they can have a TV or a refrigerator. But When we moved to this apartment, we got something my cousins cannot have. And it ran off the page. What it says underneath is, we got connected to the system. Now, when we say getting connected today, you probably think Wi-Fi, right? But the number one system in the world to get connected to that will change your life is the sewerage system. The sewerage system. Unless you have a sewerage system, you can't have a modern toilet. And to live in a house with a sewerage system means you have to live where? In certain parts of cities in most of the world. Because in Bangkok, half of the city doesn't have access to the sewerage system, right? So you have to live in the right houses or apartments to get into the sewerage system where all the shit goes when it comes from your toilet. So this is all really interesting because this is really teaching us the difference between being a consumer and a person. If you had said to this lady, what are the most important products in your house? She probably would have said her TV set or maybe her phone. We didn't. We asked her what would be the most important things in her life that she would miss. And by doing that, we got to something that was really deep and meaningful. Now, of course, toilets mean lots of things in lots of places. I lived for 10 years in Japan. Has anybody here ever been to Japan? Yeah? I'll guarantee when you came back from your first trip to Japan, when somebody said, what's Japan like? At some point you said,
The toilet is good.
yeah, their toilets are amazing, right? The first time you ever go to Japan, you go into the hotel the first time, you go into the bathroom, it's like, what is that? There's a computer next to the toilet, right? And the toilets do these amazing things. Like they wash your bottom for you from 4 different directions with different temperature water. And you can have music playing in time with whatever you're doing. Right? And airflow. By the way, you can have your body temperature measured while you're sitting there. And now they have toilets. I don't know if you see this here? Now they make toilets in Japan that has this thing sticking out. You know what that does? When you pee into the toilet, it captures a little bit and measures 17 things about your body. It captures your temperature, your sugar level, all sorts of things, sends it to not only the app on your phone, but sends it directly to your doctor's computer as well. So every time you pee, your doctor can see what your body is like. Yeah, this guy's expression was great. Sort of scary, right? Get this, does everybody remember when the Wii machine came out? You remember the Nintendo Wii? Right? And Wii Sports started? In Japan, they even had a system so that this measured your pee and sent the message to your doctor. And this, you did your Wii Sports every day, and that result went to your doctor. So your doctor could be sitting there and going, well, your pee measurement says you haven't been exercising much, and I look at your Wii machine and you haven't been exercising much. So Randall, you're a lazy guy. If you don't start running more, you're going to die. This is really scary stuff, right? But, you know, it leads to another subject, which is, this is one impression people have of Japan, right? So one of the important things I got involved in was a simple measurement. We asked thousands of people around the world, when you think about being well, healthy and well, which country is number one at being healthy and well? And the number one answer in nearly every country was Japan, including Thailand. When we asked 1,000 people in Thailand, which country do you think is the most healthy and well, Japan was the number one answer. By the way, the only 2 countries in the world where it was not number 1, where it came number 2 was, for some reason, Americans think they are the most well people in the world, even though they're the most obese, right? And the number 2 answer, and China, which was a long story. But here's the 3 reasons why around the world people think Japanese people are well. Sushi. Everybody thinks they live on sushi. What's the most popular lunch in Japan? Curry rice. Curry and rice. Very unhealthy curry and rice. But the perception is this. Number two, people around the world think the Japanese people are very zen, right? Very spiritual. Did you know it's one of the least religious countries in the world? It's one of the least religious countries in the world. People don't go to the temple much. Yeah, on grave day once a year they go and clean their ancestors' graves. And they do that because it's embarrassing if you don't go, because people think you're a slob, because they're perfectionists. And the number three answer was toilets. Now, when people think about Thailand, what do you think they think about Thailand? What's the number one answer that you get from foreigners about... If they're German tourists, yeah. The smile, right? They think about smiles. Oh yeah, it's really friendly. Everybody smiles at you a lot. Okay, well that's a nice thing. Okay, but is that true of like the whole of Thailand and the way Thailand is? And it's perceptions, right? By the way, toilets, you can do amazing things now with, as I said, with apps. So you can follow what you've been doing on the toilet with download different apps and things. And here's an interesting thing. Has everybody got a mobile phone in their hands? Everybody got a mobile phone? Yeah? When was the last time you cleaned it?
2 weeks ago.
No, with disinfectant?
Yes.
Really? Yes. You're the first person I ever asked that said that. Do you use disinfectant on yours? Have you ever cleaned it?
No, I just bought it.
Oh, just... Come on. Do you ever clean your phone? Do you ever clean your phone? Yeah? No, when I say clean, I don't mean this is not cleaning the phone. I mean, do you ever take disinfectant, right, Dettol, or alcohol or something? Do you do that? Really? Very good. Because I can tell you this, the average mobile phone has 17 times more germs than the average toilet seat. It's much healthier to go down and talk to the toilet than to talk to your own phone. Much, much healthier. Kun Pim. She taught us that the pressure on being a mother of a single child is no less than many children, and that her decisions are based on fitting in. So let me give you last example, the difference between a consumer and people. Think about mothers. So in a lot of countries, especially in Asia, in the last 20 years, a lot more women are only having 1 or 2 children, right? Now, when a mother only has 1 children, logic says that must be easier for her, right? If you only have 1 kid, it must be better than having 5 or 6. Yes? But what's happened? What did we start to notice starting about 20 years ago around the world as cultures started to only have 1 or 2 kids? There was a famous phrase that started in looking at China, and it was called the something pocket syndrome. Do you know what that is? You know what that is, right? Yeah. It's called the 6 pocket syndrome. It works like this. If you only have 1 child, that's great at first, and the kid gets spoiled. But the problem is this. That lady's mother, her grandmother, her grandfather, her husband's father, and her husband's mother are all watching her and saying, that's our only son and grandson. That's our only granddaughter or daughter. Are you taking good care of her? What are you doing? Actually, what studies have found is she's under more pressure now than if she had 5 kids. When everybody used to have, it's only 27 years ago that the average Thai woman would have 4.8 children. Now it's 1.3, right? So 28 years ago, when everybody had 4 or 5 kids, actually the pressure was a lot less. Because if you've got 5 kids, probably one of them is going to get sick. Everybody knew that. But when you've only got one kid and that kid gets sick, you're a bad mother. You're a terrible mother. So that's one thing about modern motherhood. The other thing that we discovered by this same sort of research was looking at what it meant to be a good mother. So did you tell me you work on some Nestle stuff now, right? Okay, but you got Nestle work, yeah, at your age. So I used to do a lot of projects for Nestle, Nescafe, different types of products from Nestle. And a lot of times the brief would tell us that the core target we've tried to target is good mothers. So one day I put my hand up and I said, Mr. Client, what do you mean by good mother? What's a good mother? And he went, well, you know, good mothers. Yeah, but what's a good mother? Well, you know, all mothers. Well, no, that's different. Because obviously not all mothers are good mothers, right? Some mothers don't want to be mothers. Some mothers treat their children like crap. Some mothers don't care about it. Some mothers are just not good at it. So what do we mean by a good mother? So we did some research. We asked hundreds of mothers, we did it first here in Thailand. We asked hundreds of mothers, what's a good mother? We ended up with 3 definitions. The first one is what we called the sacrificer. A good mother is a mother who will do anything for her child, go to any length to nurture her child. These are mums who study packaging, investigate alternatives, seek out information, but who first of all think about the need to sacrifice, to look like they are doing whatever it takes. These are mothers who believe I have to be seen to be sacrificing myself if I'm a good mother. If it doesn't look like I'm suffering, then I'm not a good mother. The second answer was the follower. Mothers who are always cognizant, are always aware of what their peers do. They're always aware of what other mothers do. They will always look at products and brands on the basis of their peer recognition. Certainly they care deeply about family protection and about taking care of the family, but they believe the best way to ensure they are seen as a good mother is to do and buy what other mothers approve of. Do and buy what other mothers approve of. The third was the planner. The planner are mothers who make a lot of their ability not only to cope now, but who believe everything they do is about the future. These are mothers who look for investments, always trying to find a way to make what they do for their family today build into something greater for tomorrow. So if you think about it, like baby milk powder products, they think they're targeting this, right? Okay? Brands that cost a lot think they're doing this. They're selling products to sacrifices. People are going to pay more money to make sure they're getting the best thing. But when we went back then and did a second round of research and a big survey, and we said, okay, pick one. Which one are you? The answer was, number one that I would like to be is but overwhelmingly, as in 80+% admitted in reality, they're this. That even though I know I should be sacrificing everything for my child, even though I know I should be planning everything for my child, actually what I do is I look at what other mothers are buying and I buy that. Why? Because I don't want them to laugh at me. If I go to a supermarket and I'm buying a basket of stuff and I pick up this brand, okay, and everybody else has got this brand, then I look stupid. Right? Because being a mother is fashion. Being a mother is all about fashion. The way we take care of our kids, what we buy for our kids, the way we educate our kids, the way we feed them. It's all about fitting into the popular fashion.
They have the term in the US about soccer moms.
Soccer mums.
Soccer moms are driving right now.
Right. Different types of motherhood is fashionable, never rational. Unless you think the popularity drive is all about being rational. Well, we're not getting the thing again. Oh, I thought you were checking for me. Couple of other examples about rational versus practical. Did a survey of mothers in America and the US, and actually we did it in 25 countries, not here in Thailand. One of the things we were doing was we asked them, where do you get the best advice on how to take care of your kid? Now, we weren't surprised. The number one answer in most countries was other mothers, like my friends. Right? I'm a follower. So naturally, the best advice is the people that around me that I can see as mothers. Number two is mothers or other female family members, or my own mother. But this was interesting. Look at this. In America, TV shows is this. In Japan, it's this. Normal TV shows. Why in Japan do you think that they think watching television is one of the best ways to get advice on being a mother? Because Japanese culture is driven by doing what? Never standing out, never being different. It's the number one rule of Japanese culture, never be different. So you watch television, and if there's TV commercials or people talking about something on a TV show, it's always the safest bet to do that, because that means everybody else is seeing it, so if I do it, it's safe. If I just rely on your advice, or if I go to a blog, I don't know if everybody else is going to know that. It affects all sorts of things. This idea that culture is the way in which we react to things, that drives us as people. For example, how many of you own a fax machine? See, he's an old guy like me, so he can have one. Huh? I don't mean a fax in your printer or in your, I mean a separate fax machine. A fax machine that's separate from everything else. Have you ever seen one? Have you ever worked one? Do you know people that own one? Not much, right? But if you went into a pharmacy, a drugstore in Japan, 70% of all drugstores in Japan do not own a computer, they only use fax machines. Only use fax machines. And despite the fact that every major pharmaceutical company in the world has said to them, Randall, I'll give you a computer for your store. I don't want it. You know why they say I don't want it? Because they believe that their number one responsibility is the privacy of their patients' for information. And they use fax machines because what do fax machines do is different from computers. Fax machines cannot be hacked. A fax cannot be hacked. Any form of computer can be hacked. If I want to get your patient's information off a computer, it's pretty easy. If you use a fax machine, I can't do it. So you think it's old-fashioned technology, they just say, no, it's much more trustworthy technology. It's safer technology. It's more advanced technology. Actually, I've interviewed these guys, and that's what they say. It's more advanced than computers. Because you can trust this, you can't trust computers. It's weird, right? I'm going to finish in a minute. I want to finish with this one story. Here's a medium that I guess you all know about, right? Does everybody use emoji? Right? How old are emojis? How old are emojis? Well, the emojis that you see there, right, were invented 2009 by Japan, in Japan. There's a Japanese designer that invented the modern emoji as we know it. Okay? And he owns the rights to about 50,000 of these. That's great. How old are emojis though? When I lived in Thailand in the 1990s, we used to do campaigns at our ad agency all the time using emoji. They looked like this. We used to use it on pages. We used to send people campaigns on pages, just using, no words, just using these emoji. Right? How old are emoji? Not 50 years. I was doing this in the 1990s, okay? But how old are emoji?
You could go back to the Valentine heart, 1,000 years.
In ancient Egypt, they were using emoji 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago. But that's not the oldest emoji we know of. This is the very first book we know of in the world. It's a clay tablet in Samaria. It's actually a piece of accountancy. They found these. This is about 7,500 years old. It's the oldest known piece of writing by man. It's emoji. The script was all emoji. Now I'm guessing who uses Line? Right? When I moved back here to Bangkok nearly 2 years ago, all my Thai friends said, "What do you mean you don't have a Line account? How am I going to reach you if you don't have a Line account? You could phone me?" No, we don't phone people. Well, you could email. No, I don't email people. We just use Line, right? Now, it was funny because I moved here. Before that, I lived in Japan for 10 years. Which are the two biggest Line countries in the world? Japan and Thailand, right? In fact, it's the only two countries where it's the dominant social media. Why Japan and Thailand? Why do those two countries love Line? Two different reasons. Two different reasons. Japan, they love Line because in Japan, all communication is based on context. Everything's about context. Let me give you an example. Do any of you on your mobile phones ever do video messages? Do you ever record a message and send it to somebody on your phone, right? Sometimes, right? No, but sometimes, right? Anybody ever do Skype or any of those types of things, right? Video messaging. In 1998, the biggest telephone company in Japan test marketed a watch that was for video messaging. It was just looked like a normal watch, it worked like a normal watch, but it also had a screen built into it so that I could call you and have a video conversation with you. And it failed, miserably. Technology was perfect. The technology used today for video messaging is exactly the same technology. Why did it fail? Because when you looked at if I phoned you on my watch and you answered me on your watch, all I could see on the screen was this, your face. And the most important thing in Japanese communication is this. When I look at Randall, as two Westerners, if I'm talking to you, what do? I look at your eyes. You look at my eyes. I can see your eyes very clearly, your face pretty good, starts to get a bit vague, and I can vaguely see those beautiful girls behind you, right? And I can, I can't even tell that he's what that guy is over there, you know? Because we look at each other's eyes. Japanese people don't look at the eyes. That's not the important bit. Japanese people, when they're looking at you, what they focus on is that. The surroundings are the more important thing. So the video camera like this was no good because literally I couldn't see what was around you. And even the way Japanese people frame their language is always based on the context. I can say exactly the same thing to you, but I say it differently by what I can see around you. Thai people, why do Thai people love Line? Now, it depends on your point of view. One Western academic told me it's because, Thai people are intellectually lazy. One American actually told me that, right? I didn't believe that. Before stickers. Here's the thing. Did you know that if you look back over the records over the last 60 years, amongst the top 100 countries in the world, Thailand has one of the lowest rates of reading in the world. Not literacy, high literacy. People can read, they just don't read. The amount of books that people read in Thailand per capita is extremely low. When I first moved to Thailand in the 1990s, I was fascinated. I get on a plane on a Thai Airways flight to fly anywhere in the world. Now, this is the 1990s, so we didn't all have smartphones and stuff. So as soon as you got on the plane, I would sit down and pull out a magazine or a book. And every Westerner on the plane would do exactly the same thing. And every Thai would just stare into space. You go to the beach. I go down to Hua Hin or Phuket or somewhere and sit on the beach. I automatically, if I'm going to the beach, I take a book or a magazine to read on the beach. You walk up and down the beach and there's all the Westerners reading books or something. And admittedly, some of them were just dirty books. It didn't matter. Right? But they were reading, so when the Thais are just staring off into space. Now, I guess that's good because you've got a lot of imagination, right? You're dreaming about things. But the truth is that Thais just don't like that form of literacy. But thank God for Line, because Thais love stamps, stickers, emoji. They love literacy in a different form. And this is all about cultures. This is what makes us people. Rationally, if we were all rational, we should all speak the most popular language in the world because it would just make it easier, right? So they would never teach any other language except English or Chinese or whatever you decide is the most popular language, right? That would be rational. Every school, this education, everybody should only teach one language. That would be rational. But we don't, right? We should all write exactly the same way. We should all use there should not be Facebook, Line, Pinterest, there should only be one social media platform because that way everybody's using the same one and everybody can communicate equally. That's rational. But we don't. That's why there's this huge argument going on. The argument is that we're actually returning back to what's historically normal literacy, pictures. So Thais are actually the most advanced people in the world because you're using the type of literacy that historically has been normal, using pictures. Oh, sorry, this is my last example. This is it, right? Celebrities. Because we have to talk about celebrities, right? So you don't have to go through the exercise, but just think about who is your favourite celebrity? Absolute favourite celebrity. It could be a football star, it could be a music star, it could be Donald Trump, I don't care. Okay? I know for Randall it's probably Donald, right? Like all Americans, right? Okay? These are three very famous celebrities. In China, this guy's one of the most famous celebrities. Anybody know who that is? Yao Ming, right? Why is he famous? First Chinese to play in the NBA and become a superstar in the NBA. Why is he famous in China? Because he really represents being modern, because he beat the Americans at their own game. He was the first Chinaman to go to America and in the most, well, maybe not the most popular, but one of the most popular American things, he was one of the best players. He represents being modern. Anybody who know this is? Right. If you're not from South Asia or you're not from a cricket country, you don't know. But in India, he's the biggest star there is. He doesn't even play anymore. He's retired. But he's the biggest cricket, he's ranked either the number one or number two best cricket player in the history of the game. And cricket, by the way, is the second biggest sport in the world. It is. It's the second biggest sport in the world, both by the number of people that play it and the number of people that watch it. The Cricket World Cup, for example, if I say to you, the Olympics is the biggest sporting event in the world, the Football World Cup is the number 2 sporting event in the world. I know most Americans think the Super Bowl is next, but actually the Super Bowl is about number 10. The number 3 event in the world is the Cricket World Cup. Nobody in Thailand watches it, but the average audience is about 1.5 billion people. And this guy is the superstar of that sport. But what does he represent? He is literally this tall. He's a tiny man. He came from a pretty ordinary background and he became the biggest star in the most important sport in the world as far as Indians are concerned. Super, super rich, now, super successful. He represents literally anybody can become a superstar. Anybody know who this is? Audrey Hepburn. How long has she been dead? She's been dead for about 30 years. In Japan, she is the #1 celebrity in Japan and has been the #1 celebrity for Japanese women for over 40 years. On Valentine's Day, every year, at night, on 3 different TV channels, they show the same movie at the same time. It's called Roman Vacation, her most famous movie. It's the top rating movie every single year. It's a 60-year-old movie. She represents to Japanese women the ideal woman. Every survey, if you say in a survey, who's the most beautiful woman in the world? Audrey Hepburn. Who's the most famous woman in the world? Audrey Hepburn. Who's the woman that you would most like to be, you would most like your daughter to grow up like? Audrey Hepburn. Who would you think your mother is most like? Well, if she's nice, she'd be like Audrey Hepburn. She is the ideal woman. Now, here's the thing. In Thailand, you're a good audience. A lot of you knew who that was. One lady knew who this was, and one guy who doesn't even come from here knew who this was. Right? But in different parts of the world, they're massive celebrities. Why? Not because they're rich, not because they're successful, because they represent something. They represent something. Do you know who this guy is? Right? Does anybody recognise this guy? A couple of ladies are sort of nodding, right? Do you know who that is, guy? Right? Yonsama? Okay. Korean star of Korean soap dramas. Okay? Now, I want to finish with this story because I want you to understand something very simple about the difference between people and consumers. In 1993, 24 years ago, the Korean government got the guys who own the 6 biggest companies in Korea. They're called chaebols, big organisations, Samsung, Hyundai, all those big companies. They got them in a room in a meeting and they said, look, we're pretty successful now. People are buying Korean-made stuff. But actually, most of the stuff they're making out of Korea in 1993, that doesn't have the brand name on it. So if you wanted to buy a cheap TV, it was probably made in Korea, but you didn't know that. You wanted to buy a cheap refrigerator, it was probably made in Korea, but you didn't know that. Did you know in 1993 that 30% of all refrigerators in the United States were Korean? No Americans knew that. They were called OEMs, manufactured under other people's names. The Korean government sat these guys there and they said, look, we can keep on making stuff like this, or we could be like Sony, Toshiba, Coca-Cola, Marlboro, those famous brands around the world, and you can do it under your own name and you can charge higher prices. Well, that sounds great. How are we going to do that? We have to make Korea famous. We have to make people think Korea makes good stuff. In 1993, if you came to me, so I was living in Sydney, and if you came up to me and said, hey Dave, this is exciting, I'm going to give you a free motor car. Oh, thanks man, that's fantastic. It's a Hyundai. I don't want that shit. Don't even give it to me. Samsung TV, forget it, I don't want that. Must be bad. Why? Well, it's Korean. Korean only makes cheap shit. How did they change that? Number one answer is this guy. Not exactly him, but this is what they did. They said to the guys running these big companies, you all own companies that make TV sets, refrigerators, motor cars, radios, all sorts of stuff. But you also own the TV networks here in Korea, the TV studios, the production studios, the film studios, the music studios. These same companies own them. And they said, so let's start with TV. So you own a TV station here. I want you to go to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, China, Japan, and I want you to go to the TV stations there. And I want you to give them the one thing that a TV station wants more than anything else. What does a TV station want? free content. No, don't give them free content. Tell them if they show your TV shows from Korea, you'll pay them to show those shows. And they can still charge for the advertising on top of that. Double profit for the TV stations. TV stations all over Asia said, I'll do that. I'm going to make more money that way. I'll start showing these shows, whether people like them or not. And the better the positioning of the show, the more they got paid to show it. So they started putting these shows on at good times. And people not like you, but like your mothers, all over Asia started watching these shows. And they were mostly soap operas. And how does a soap opera work? Anywhere in the world, how does a soap opera work, a soap drama? Drama shows, right? So a drama show works like this. Usually there's like 3 main characters, okay? So she's married to him, he's my brother, we're really in love, but what we haven't told him is that actually he's not really my brother, he's my son, okay? And then she dies, but then she comes back alive again, okay? But what happens is all 3 of these shows is we spend a lot of time just sort of staring at each other. All right? All those drama shows, how everybody stares at each other a lot, or stares into the distance. And in the drama shows, they were very smart. They said, well, we'll make them modern drama shows. Modern drama shows means that a lot of the action happens in people's apartments or houses. Maybe in the kitchen. So we're all sitting in the kitchen talking to each other and staring at each other, and there's the camera, and what's there? We're talking, it's in a kitchen, there's the camera, what's behind us? A Samsung refrigerator. And what happened was shows like his show, Winter Sonata, becomes big hits all across Asia, and every single episode is full of Korean products and brands. And there's tons of research that says the more the show was shown, the more popular Korean brands became. It's called the Korean Wave. It's the most successful piece of national marketing we've ever heard on the face of the earth. The only other one nearly as successful is the Roman Empire, and I'll explain that at a different time. So when you think about different countries, the people in different countries, all over Asia, all around the world, just remember, the people react to different things, they work in different ways, they don't do things rationally. People react to fashion, to desire, to emotion. That's why you should always think about people, not consumers, because they're only consumers for little tiny bits of the day. The reason why you choose the toothpaste you use is not rational. You consume toothpaste because you're a person who gives into emotions. Thank you.